2025 marked a huge transition for Campus Light College Church. We sent out 15 staff to 3 countries, Taiwan, Vietnam, and Indonesia, and 3 states, Chicago, Texas, and New York. The last of the original church planners who first moved from Riverside, California to Rutgers in 2017 moved overseas as foreign missionaries. Some of us Rutgers students who walked into the ministry as freshmen met Jesus here, were discipled here, and now we're getting trained as spiritual mentors on our campus, continuing the very work that changed our lives. So we wanted to share what we saw when we first came, what shaped us, and what we want to pass on to the next generation.
When I first came to Campus Light, I found a group of Christians who believed so much in what the Bible said that they were willing to pack up their bags and move all the way across the country to New Jersey, of all places, to start a church here. I've heard of stories of staff who had commutes all the way into New York, Matt Salady, who chose to put his residency in New Jersey, and other staff who took pay cuts in order to move to New Jersey to start a church here. To me, that was a compelling picture of Christian life and how they lived to obey the Great Commission.
During my freshman year, I got pretty sick, and considering that I lived in Quad 1, I was pretty convinced that I would have to survive off of Tylenol and instant ramen. But my mentor, Anne, when she found out that I was sick, she made me soup every single day and would drop it off even after a long day of in-person work. This really surprised me, but this was one way that I got to really experience the love of Christ.
Yeah, one vivid experience that I really remember back on was when a hurricane hit a few years ago, and Andy and Aurora's basement, as well as John and Kat's and a couple other basements, started flooding. And this is at midnight, so some people had already started getting ready for bed, but the staff rallied and we all went house by house, cleaning out the basements with mixing bowls. And some people got soaked, but it was a good time. And this was just in stark contrast to my actual home, where my parents, when it got flooded, we just tossed our hands up and be like, well, there's nothing we can do. It was also just different to just looking for housing on College Ave, where everyone wanted a single room, but no one really could be bothered when someone actually needed help in different things in life.
I hopped into a random person's car and I was headed to Livy to Hoja. I remember walking into a room of people screaming, hitting balloons, and having a lot of fun. Turns out they were having an icebreaker. Actually, I remember talking to Mary Kim Lin at this Course 101 table, and she was telling me about how all the staff at the church at the time traveled or moved actually from California to New Jersey to start a college church. And I remember thinking and asking her, wait, so you moved from sunny California to snowy and cold New Jersey to start a church? Like, do you even know anybody here? And she told me no, like, we don't. But we heard the message of the gospel. And because of that, we wanted to come all the way over here to share it with more students like us. And I realized at that point that there were actually Christians living out their faith.
I still to this day remember the first Bible study I went to. Not the message particularly, but I remember them talking about real things and things I was struggling with. Drugs, girls, school, family issues. Growing up in church, I'd always heard about how to be a good parent or how to be a good worker, things that the adults were hearing in church. But when I came to Campus Light, I heard them talking to me directly and sharing the gospel into my life as it was. And I remember thinking, man, I think this is my church because they really take me seriously.
So, oh my gosh, now I'm married. Now I have a job, now I have a house, and yeah, that's pretty much the same stage of life that Ioki was in, and now I see how much they actually sacrificed in order to love students like me. They could have used their double income to buy nice things for their home or buy nice cars, but instead they filled their ministry home with people. They bought a lot of Beijing yogurt and ice cream sandwiches because they knew I liked that, and they spent so much money on gas and treating meals that yeah, like I ate so well as a college student. You know, it's so countercultural. Like the world tends towards like self-indulgence, and they lived opposite of that. And you know, that challenges me to keep going. It challenges me to make the same sacrifices.
I saw simple obedience. I saw Alex Lin, Brian Koo, Kevin Yim, Tony Vung, and so many other guys that just had simple obedience. When it came to changing a schedule or giving feedback or receiving feedback, they just did it with no complaint, no gripe, no frustration.
This summer, I was helping a student move into his place, and it went longer than expected because there weren't any keys for the front door. And as we were helping him move in, I actually had a call to take in 30 minutes, but because of the mishap, it went longer than that, but I decided to stay and help him. And there was something that clicked in my mind, and I was like, oh my gosh. My mentors must have had this exact moment so many times with me when they were cooking or helping me move or taking a call or job prep interview stuff. And I'm like, I never saw that before. But now I'm on the other side and I'm really thankful for them.
Now that I'm in my mentor's shoes, I really realize how much it took to sacrifice personal free time and sleep. My mentor, he had 2 kids, owned a house, was a Bulls fan, but always managed to start the day with 7 a.m. devotions. He grilled amazing steak dinners. He went to College Ave and talked to frat guys at night. He prayed every night. And all the while, he still was willing to talk to me at 11 p.m. to give me feedback or to give me advice on life. And now, as I'm in their shoes, I realize how hard it is to actually love someone else more than myself. And I'm challenged to obey God despite my tiredness. But I'm confident I can do so because my mentor did the same for me.
Now that I'm a mentor, I understand that my mentors had struggles of their own, yet they made themselves available to me and had a lot of wisdom to share because they were actually taking their sins seriously because they wanted to better represent Jesus. I understand that as I try to love students, it matures me emotionally and spiritually, wanting to push myself to be more sanctified so that students have something to imitate, like prioritizing daily devotions and prioritizing solitude with God despite having busy schedules.
Yeah, so after all that I've been able to experience at our church, I really hope that future students will be able to experience our church as being one big family, not just a place where people drop off soup when you're sick, but a place where you can be honest about your sin, experience healing by bearing one another's burdens, as well as reminding each other of truth, as my friends and mentors have done for me.
One part of our culture that I want to pass down is that the biggest drama of our lives is to save souls. This is something that Joe and Annie exhorted us to do as the first 2 graduating classes. They said that we want to create a culture where people can meet Jesus. And this was just a really clear picture to me that we're building up a church, and now I see that there are souls, that there are 50,000 Rutgers undergrads that need to hear the gospel, and that's what I'm going to live my life for.
I want to pass down open lives. When I look at the staff, they went through a lot of real-world moments, from raising kids to health issues to marriage conflicts. They still push to obey God's word daily. And that pushed me to trust them more because I saw how they lived.
I think the thing I want to pass down to the future generations at Campus Light is just a never giving up faithfulness. I think since the beginning, this church almost didn't even start. And then there was health issues and people moved, but I saw people who were faithful from the very start all the way through. And even if somebody didn't stay, they were faithful and just did their little part. And because of that, I was blessed and the church is here. And so I really hope that people would see that and also take on that never giving up faithfulness.
For me, I think it's taking God's word seriously. Every time you go to a Bible study or a Sunday service, like right now in your seat, there's going to be points that just prick your conscience. My hope is that you don't run away from that. I hope that future students are able to experience that community where people, students, don't take God's word as an option or as just a suggestion, but actually as a commandment to be obeyed.
As I spent many nights in the homes of our staff, eating their food, playing games, studying, falling in love with God's word and praying, I want to recreate that home away from home for younger ones. I want students to feel welcome in our homes, come over regularly, and want to do life together.